Luciano.
I glanced back through the rearview mirror and sighed in relief when I saw that I had lost my father's men. I drove even faster to not give them a chance to catch up, and only when I was on a completely empty road did I normalize my speed. Now that my body wasn't in adrenaline, I felt the pain hit me. It was such a struggle to get through my father's men, and when he said I wouldn't be able to get out of the territory, he really meant business. However, I wasn't one to go down without a fight. I was still able to outsmart them in the end. Now, I was one step closer to getting Talia back. I drove to Amari Coast, the road feeling more familiar as I had already come to love this place. When I arrived at Grandpa Ferry's house, I didn't bother parking my car and just left it outside his house. I knocked heavily on the door, desperate to see Talia. I heard a set of footsteps coming toward the door, then it opened. Grandpa Ferry's eyes widened in surprise when he saw me standing in front of his door.
Luciano?
I went past him and looked around the house.
Talia?
I screamed her name. Talia, I'm here. Luciano, Grandpa Ferry went after me and held onto my shoulders, making me face him. What are you doing here, Luciano? And why are you covered in wounds? I shook my head. It doesn't matter. Where's Talia? Where's Lucille? He bit his lips and looked down at the ground. Grandpa, answer me. Where are they? They're not here anymore, he responded, and I felt my heart drop to the ground.
What?
They left. Talia left with Lucille last night. Where did they go? I hysterically asked. I don't know, he honestly said.
How could you not know?
I asked. He sighed and shook his head. When the two of them left, Talia didn't have a concrete plan. She told me that she'll get off when she feels like the place is good enough to live in. Fuck, I cursed under my breath. Then how are we supposed to find them now? I don't know, he said. I'm actually worried because she told me that she'll tell me where she is once she gets there. But she hasn't gotten back to me ever since. It's already late in the afternoon, and I know that her journey wouldn't take that far. My eyes widened in surprise. Can you call her right now? I'm trying to, he said, pulling out his phone from his trousers. But her phone's been shut off. He tried to dial her number once again, but as he said, the line seemed to be busy, or her phone may have been shut off. I raked my hands through my hair and sighed in frustration. Where may she possibly have gone?
I have a bad feeling about this, Luciano,
Grandpa Ferry suddenly said, causing me to snap out of my thoughts. I frowned. What do you mean? Talia will definitely contact me once she gets to their destination, and they should have been there by now. I have a bad feeling that she's not where she's supposed to be.
Sometime later. Talia.
I opened my eyes and was met with an unfamiliar environment. I don't remember much of what happened, but we were met with a man that resembled Luciano last night. However, he wasn't Luciano at all. And before I even knew it, I had already blacked out, and we were transported here. My eyes widened in realization when I didn't feel Lucille in my arms.
Lucille!
I shouted, my voice echoing in the dark, empty room. I sighed in relief when I saw her in the corner of the room, sleeping soundly despite the situation we were in. I tried to move toward her, but found out that my limbs were tied with heavy chains. I tried to break away, using the techniques I learned during the training system, but the chains were too tight around my wrists, and it only made me grimace in pain every time I tried to escape. Oh, you're awake? The man who abducted us last night entered the room, and even now, I still couldn't make out his features. The room was dark, but there was a single light bulb that illuminated it. He stood in front of the light, so I couldn't see anything besides his mere silhouette. Who are you? He chuckled and moved into the light, finally revealing his features. I frowned in confusion. Even now that I'm seeing him, I still don't know who he is. You must not know who I am, huh? He asked.
Who the fuck are you?
And why did you take me here? I don't remember ever meeting this guy, so there's no way I've offended him in any way. Well, like I said, you don't know me, but I know you. And I'm sure Luciano knows me very well. My eyebrows furrowed.
Whatever issue you have with Luciano, don't bring my daughter and I into it.
I firmly said. I glanced at Lucille and saw her still not moving after all the noise we'd caused.
Lucille?
Lucille! I shouted, trying to wake her up. However, she kept still.
What the fuck did you do to her?
Oh, don't worry, he brushed it off. I just gave her some sleeping pills. I'm not that much of a monster that I'll let a child suffer through all of this. However, she was with you, so I had no choice but to take her. This wouldn't have happened if you didn't abduct us at all. Why are you even doing this? He scoffed. Don't you remember that night? When you entered this territory? I looked at him, confused. What? Look around you, he said, walking back and forth slowly. I looked around the place until the sense of familiarity hit me. I know this place. How could I ever forget this place? The place where we rescued the underage sex workers more than 4 years ago. Colombo, I muttered under my breath. This was the territory of the Colombo clan. I snapped my gaze at the unknown man once more and suddenly felt like I have seen him before. However, an older and more seasoned version of himself. Surprise, he said, a murderous smile on his face. Christophe Colombo? He clicked his tongue and shook his head. We should not speak of the dead. My father's already resting in hell. His son? I muttered under my breath.
We've got a winner, everybody,
he said, clapping his hands in delight. You're smarter than you look, I'm going to give you that. I glared at him, still not knowing why he was doing all of this. I don't remember ever doing anything to your family except for rescuing those underage workers 4 years ago. Oh, I've already moved past that event. But I can't forget what you took from me that day. I frowned. My father. You took my father away from me that day. Suddenly, it all hit me. That day, when we were escaping from this house, somebody suddenly stopped me. And that someone was Christophe Colombo. The very same person who killed Renee. And the very same person that Luciano killed.
Luciano.
Shit.
I cursed under my breath, pacing back and forth while Grandpa Fairy watched me.
What are we going to do?
Grandpa Fairy asked. I bit my lip and decided to stop pacing. I've already contacted my people about the situation, and they're willing to help with anything. He nodded his head. But first, we have to find out where they are. Grandpa Fairy sighed. I'm afraid that'll be pretty difficult. I know someone who works at the station, but he told me he hasn't seen her or Lucille at all. I clicked my tongue, trying to come up with another plan. I can hire a private investigator to help me find them, but I'm afraid that'll take too long. It might be too late once I find out where they are. Just then, I felt my phone vibrate inside my pocket. I fished it out of my pocket, wondering if Reese would be contacting me. However, I frowned when I saw that I had gotten a text from an unknown number. 7171, Dream Street. Come alone, or the two of them will suffer. I let out a scoff of disbelief when I recognized the address on my phone. I can't believe he's contacting me after all these years. What is it? Grandpa Fairy asked, standing up from his seat. I placed my phone back in my pocket before Grandpa Fairy could peek. I had to abide by their rules since I knew they wouldn't hesitate to execute their threat.
Do you have a clue on where they are?
He asked. I shook my head. My father texted me, I lied. It seems like he's after me, so I have to go now.
What?
He asked.
Do you need my help?
I shook my head. I'll be okay, Grandpa. I took my car with me. I'll continue to look for Talia and contact you once I have a lead. Keep your lines open, okay? Although he still looked a bit worried, he nodded his head in understanding. All right. Please do. I'll be waiting. I'll get going, then.
Stay safe, okay?
I nodded my head. I will. With that, I ran out of his house and into my car. I started driving to the address sent to me, determined to get the love of my life back in my arms.
Sometime later. Talia.
So what are you going to do now? Are you also going to kill us? I asked, looking him dead in the eyes. He hummed and placed his hand behind his back. Kill you? Nah, I still want to talk to you for longer. Besides, it wouldn't be as fun if I killed you right away. I let out a deep breath and closed my eyes. Why are you doing this anyway? For revenge? I'm glad you've already caught on. But this is more than just my revenge. Let's just say that it's also my redemption, my one-way ticket to the top. I frowned. You might still be confused, he said. So, I'm going to tell you the story. I guess there's no harm in telling you the story of my life. You won't be able to tell other people anyway, since you'll be taking it to your grave. I felt my heart beating faster in my chest. Oh God. Am I really going to die today? What about Lucille? My train of thought was broken when he started speaking once again. Let's start with the basics, he said. I'm Elliot Colombo, the current Don of the Colombo clan. You might also know us as the rival clan of the Romano family. However, rivals usually mean that one wins over the other from time to time, indicating a push and pull relationship. Yet, here we are, always being at the mercy of the Romano family. He clenched his jaw. No matter what we did, we never made it to the top. Even with my father's dirty tactics, the Romano clan continued to monopolize the entire Mafia organization. So, from a young age, I already had some type of one-way rivalry with Luciano, since my father would always compare me to him. Luciano this. Luciano that. It would have been better if Luciano was my child. Those were the words I heard from my father on a daily basis. I guess hearing those things fucked up my mind, and I became greedier for power. I was about to interrupt him, but he ranted on and on. Honestly, when my father died, I didn't feel an ounce of sadness in my body. I was happy, actually. It was the very first time that Luciano had made me feel joy. He took away the person who would always compare me to him, and now, it was my turn to take over the empire he had left. I frowned. So, why are you doing all of this if not for revenge? Because I hate Luciano, he said. Simple as that. He's always been at the top. And now, it's my fucking turn. I've tried so hard to look for a loophole, a weakness. He always seemed to be untouchable in my eyes, but I guess what people say is true, a man will always have his kryptonite. And it's a pity, because that kryptonite just turned out to be you. I tried to keep a straight face as I said my next words. I'm not his kryptonite. He barely even loves me at all. He scoffed. Do you really expect me to believe that? We've had eyes on you when he stayed at Amari Coast. There's no way in hell he doesn't love you. Hearing that made my heart swell with pride, but at the same time, I had to act like what he was saying isn't true at all. You clearly missed the last few moments of his life in Amari Coast. Why do you think my daughter and I would be running away after everything? It's because we've been pushed away. I lied. Luciano never loved me, so your plan will fail through and through. I suggest you release us right now to avoid further embarrassment. I thought he was going to be swayed by that, but he merely smirked and crouched down to my level. I'm not a fool, princess. I know that Luciano will come here and save you. And when he does, I'm going to have him beg on his knees. Then, I'll take away the people he loves the most in the entire world. I clenched my jaw as I looked into his eyes. Well, too bad for you because he's not going to come. He doesn't know where I am, and frankly, he does not care. That's where you're wrong, he whispered. He does know where you are, and if my calculations are right, he'll be here right about. He stopped for a few seconds, looking at his watch as he did so. Now, he smirked. And just like that, the door slammed open and Luciano came into the room, all alone.
Talia.
Luciano and I met eye to eye, and he didn't hesitate to run after where I was, kneeling down to hold onto my cheeks with a worried look on his face. Are you okay? He asked, looking for any bruises and signs of abuse. Fuck, he cursed under his breath when he saw my wrists painted purple and red because of my efforts to escape from these heavy chains. Bambi, are you okay? Speak to me. I remained speechless as I looked into his eyes. What are you doing here? I whispered, horrified for what is about to come. I came here to save you, he said in a hopeful voice. But I know full well that he came here all alone. I looked down to the ground and felt tears escaping my eyes, falling down to the dirty concrete floor. In the meantime, Luciano spotted Lucille sleeping on the floor, so he ran over to where she was and glared at Elliot, gently leading Lucille's head to the ground. He stood up and went after him, holding onto his collar and lifting him up on the ground. My eyes widened in surprise, and so did Elliot's. I could actually see the fear swimming in his eyes, and at that point, I knew that he was nothing but a mere loser who couldn't do anything without other people's help.
What the fuck did you do to her?
He raised his hands in surrender. Relax. She's just sleeping. You gave her pills? He tightened his hold on his collar, causing Elliot to become more out of breath. You don't want to do this if I were you. I can't guarantee Talia's and your child's safety if you continue doing this. Luciano scoffed. Not if I kill you first. I have dozens of men waiting for me right outside this room. I'm sure you saw them. Just one command from me, and they're all going to scramble on their feet to kill all of you. Luciano, I softly said his name. Let go. Luciano pursed his lips together and shakily put Elliot down on the ground. As much as I want to kill this bastard, I'm afraid I still want to live a little bit longer. Good boy, Elliot smiled, gaining back his confidence now that Luciano had been tamed. What the fuck are you planning to do? Luciano growled. Elliot shrugged his shoulders. You already know what I'm planning to do. It's what I've always wanted ever since you took my supposed reign. You're a fucking loser, Luciano chuckled. Even if I weren't born in this world, you wouldn't have made it to the top. Elliot clenched his fists and pursed his lips together. You're making it hard for me not to kill you right here and now. Do it, Luciano challenged him, making my eyes widen in surprise. Kill me if you can. But release these two and let them live a peaceful life. Whatever conflict we have with each other, leave them out of it. Elliot burst into laughter, even throwing his head back in amusement. This just strengthens my belief that she's truly your kryptonite. Don't worry. I won't kill you right now. As I said, that wouldn't be too fun. What are you going to do? Luciano asked. It's simple, he said. I'll kill these people right in front of your eyes, he smiled. And only when you've felt the pain of losing your most treasured loved ones, then I'm going to kill you. Luciano stiffened, causing Elliot to chuckle. But then again, don't worry. I'm going to give you some time to talk before I execute any of this. It'll make your parting even more painful once you've established your goodbyes. With that, he went out of the room, locking it close.
Fucker!
Luciano screamed, going after the door and banging it with his fists. I sighed. Luciano, I said his name in a soft voice. He turned around and went over my way, looking at me with eyes of concern. Are you okay? Does something hurt? I shook my head. I felt numb. I hate you. Those were the only words I could utter. I hate you so much. I broke down. Luciano appeared to be in pain as he held onto my cheeks. Did I do something wrong, my Bambi? Why did you go here on your own? He bit his lips. I had no other choice. I didn't want to take the risk and have him harm you against my will. But still, I cried out. You could have said something about this to your people. I wasn't thinking straight, he confessed. I just wanted to get to you. I let out a deep breath. You shouldn't have. Come, I said. And what? He asked. I should have left the two of you here to suffer alone? You know I can't do that. I can't just stand on the sidelines watching my child and the love of my life die.
You should have,
I exclaimed. Now, the three of us are going to die together. Who said that's going to happen? He said. Elliot already made a grave mistake of leaving the three of us here with me being untied. What are you going to do? I asked.
We're going to escape.
He smirked, bringing out something like a pick from his pocket and trying to undo the lock on the chains.
He's going to come back any second now,
I said, nervously glancing at the door. I know, he said. That's why we have to make it quick. It took a couple of minutes for him to get open the lock, but it felt like an eternity. It was a good thing that Elliot hasn't come back yet. Can you carry Lucille? He asked. I'll look for an opening. I nodded my head and went to where Lucille was laying, carrying her in my arms and situating her on my back. Once she was settled, I walked next to Luciano. How are we going to escape here? I asked. It's literally nothing but concrete, and there's only one exit. He tapped his foot impatiently on the ground. Dungeons like this always have a secret exit, he said. And it just so happens that I scrutinized their floor plan when we invaded them 4 years ago, he smirked. My heart started beating out of my chest, finally having some hope that we would actually be able to escape. I know that once we get out of here, there's going to be more problems we'll be facing. However, my objective at this second is to just get out of this dungeon safe and sound. Now, where is it? He muttered under his breath, looking for something on the wall. There it is, he said in triumph when he saw a small opening at the darkest corner of the room. Come, he said, taking out the hollow blocks that covered the secret entrance. I helped him a bit, but my movements were limited since I had Lucille on my back. Is this it? I asked when one column of hollow blocks had been removed. He nodded his head. It's a bit tight, he said. But I'm sure the two of us will fit here if we go through one by one. What about Lucille? I asked. The two of you are small enough to be able to fit through here. This exit will lead to their back entrance if I'm not mistaken. Once you're through, I'll make sure to follow, okay? Just then, the two of us heard footsteps coming near the door. Shit, he muttered under his breath. He held onto my shoulders and pushed me into the narrow exit. Go on. I'm right behind you, he said. I nodded my head, struggling to get out of the narrow space. The footsteps only became louder and louder, and when I was halfway in, I reached out my hand to him. Come on. Hurry up, I urged. At that moment, I thought he was going to take my hand. However, he apologetically looked at me and started placing the hollow blocks back on the wall. What? I screamed. What are you doing? Let's go. I love you, he whispered. I tried to go back to him, but it was already too late. As he placed the last piece of hollow block on the wall, I also heard the door open from the other side.